Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. So
Yeah.
today we're going to be looking at Carol Dweck's Mindset, the new psychology of success.
Okay.
And we're really going to be trying to unpack this idea of fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Right.
And we're going to kind of see, how this impacts so many different areas of life,
Yeah.
from our personal success to our relationships to even like things like how we deal with bullies.
Interesting.
So should we jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so you know what I find so fascinating about Dweck's work is that she really brings these mindsets to life.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't just talk about them in this abstract way.
Yeah.
She gives all these vivid examples and anecdotes. And, one of the first things she talks about
Okay.
is how Darwin,
Darwin.
like like the father of evolution,
Wow.
was considered a pretty ordinary kid
Really?
in his early years.
Huh. I never knew that.
And Tolstoy, too.
Wow.
Like, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
What does that even tell us?
Yeah. I think it really challenges our assumptions about success.
Okay.
We tend to think that some people are just born geniuses and
Right.
destined for greatness. But Dweck argues that potential unfolds over time.
Okay.
It's not about where you start. It's about how you choose to grow and develop along the way.
So it's less about inherent talent then and more about what?
Effort and how we view it.
Okay.
You see, if you have a fixed mindset, you might see effort as a sign of weakness. Like you're trying to compensate for a lack of natural ability.
Mm-hmm.
But with a growth mindset, effort is the fuel for improvement.
Okay.
It's the path to mastery.
So have you ever thought about this in your own life?
Oh, totally.
Like, have you ever dismissed a potential interest
Mm-hmm.
just because you thought you weren't naturally good at it?
I'm curious if you've ever felt that way.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Like, for years, I thought I was just bad at math.
Right.
Like, completely avoided anything numerical.
Yeah.
But what if I was wrong?
What if I...
What if I had, embraced the struggle instead of running away from it?
Totally.
Dweck really makes you question those self-imposed limitations.
Absolutely. And she points out that these mindsets don't just impact us personally.
I didn't-
Play out in every sphere of life.
Oh, I see.
In fact, she highlights this study
Okay.
where college students with a fixed mindset actually turned down an English course
No way.
to avoid exposing their weaknesses.
Seriously.
Yeah, they were so afraid of looking bad that they were willing to risk their academic future.
That's wild. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Right.
Like, that fear of judgment can be so paralyzing.
And on the flip side,
Okay.
she contrasts this with the story of Lou Gerstner.
Lou Gerstner.
Yeah, the guy who turned IBM around.
Okay.
He faced a ton of criticism, but he tackled the challenge head on.
Interesting.
He just embodied that growth mindset of seeking challenges and adapting to change.
So he didn't even consider failure an option.
It doesn't seem like it.
He just went in with this, I'm going to figure this out attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
But what about the opposite?
Hmm.
Are there examples of leaders who crashed and burned because of a fixed mindset?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Dweck brings up Albert Dunlap.
Albert Dunlap?
He was known for his slash-and-burn management style at Sunbeam,
Okay.
and he really prioritized short-term gains
Got it.
and completely ignored the need for long-term growth and innovation.
So it ultimately led to the company's downfall.
Sadly, yes.
So one mindset led to adaptation and success,
Right.
and the other to rigidity and failure.
Exactly.
It's amazing how these seemingly subtle differences in perspective can have such huge real-world consequences.
It really highlights how mindsets aren't just these fluffy self-help concepts.
Right.
They have real implications for individuals, organizations, even entire industries.
It's pretty profound when you think about it.
It is. And to illustrate this further, Dweck dives into the world of sports.
Okay, I love sports.
She quotes Mia Hamm,
Mia Hamm.
the legendary soccer star.
Oh, yeah.
And Hamm said, "I've always said that the most important day is the day after a competition."
That's so interesting.
Isn't it?
You'd think for a top athlete,
Yeah,
the competition itself would be the most important day.
right.
But Hamm is saying it's not just about the win or loss.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what you learn from it.
It's that growth mindset in action.
Exactly.
That relentless pursuit of improvement,
Yeah.
hunger to learn from every experience.
That's what defines the growth mindset.
Exactly.
But, Dweck doesn't shy away from the darker side of the fixed mindset either.
Right.
She explores this whole idea of the illusion of flawlessness
Mm-hmm.
and how that can really block our growth.
Yeah.
I think we've all felt that pressure to appear perfect.
Oh, definitely.
But how does that tie back to this fixed mindset?
Well, Dweck actually shares a personal anecdote about her childhood.
Okay.
She was really good at spelling and French,
Okay.
but she refused to participate in any competitions.
Really?
Yeah, she was terrified of failing of
Wow.
not appearing perfect.
So this fear of not looking flawless
Mm-hmm.
is a big sign of the fixed mindset.
Exactly, and it can trap even the most accomplished individuals.
Really?
She shares the story of Ernie Els, the professional golfer.
Okay, yeah, I know Ernie Els.
So he finally wins a major tournament.
Right.
But instead of celebrating,
Yeah.
he starts freaking out.
About what?
He's suddenly terrified of losing his winner identity.
Wow, so he achieved this huge goal,
Yeah,
but now he's scared of not being able to live up to this new image.
exactly.
That's so crazy.
It is, and it shows how the fixed mindset can create this constant pressure to prove yourself,
Right.
to maintain this facade of flawlessness.
And it can really rob you of the joy of the journey.
It can.
The satisfaction of pushing yourself and growing.
Exactly.
Okay, so Dweck doesn't stop there.
Nope.
She goes on to challenge this whole notion that success is all about natural talent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting.
Right.
We've all heard stories about people who just seem naturally gifted.
Oh, yeah.
Is Dweck saying that that's all a myth?
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
She debunks the idea that talent alone is enough.
Okay.
She uses icons like Michael Jordan and Babe Ruth.
Okay, those are good examples.
Both are considered incredibly talented athletes, but both were also known for their dedication and relentless practice.
Yeah, they put in the work.
Exactly. It wasn't just raw talent.
Right.
It was the willingness to hone their skills day after day.
It's about the effort.
It is, and it's not just about individual stories.
Okay.
Remember when she talks about Seabiscuit?
Seabiscuit, the racehorse?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
He and his entire team were considered underdogs.
Right.
But through sheer grit and determination, they achieved incredible things.
It's a true underdog story.
It is.
Proving that effort and spirit can overcome anything.
And it makes us question,
What's that?
are we giving enough credit to effort and perseverance in our own lives?
That's a good question.
Are we too quick to attribute achievements to natural talent
Right.
and dismiss our own potential?
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into that trap.
It is.
You know, thinking, well, they were just born with it. I could never do that.
Right, but what if we're wrong?
What if?
What if we're all capable of achieving more than we think?
I like that.
If we just shift our perspective.
That's the key question Dweck wants us to grapple with.
It is.
It's not just about understanding these mindsets.
Right,
It's about applying them to unlock our own potential
exactly.
and to challenge those limiting beliefs that hold us back.
And here's the thing.
What's that?
It's not just about how we see ourselves.
Okay.
It's also about how we see and interact with others.
Oh, interesting.
Dweck explores how these mindsets play out in our relationships as well.
Okay, so it's not just about our own self-perception.
Nope.
It's about how we perceive and judge others, too.
Yes, and that's where things can get really tricky.
How so?
Dweck argues that fixed mindsets can lead to a lot of judgment,
Okay.
blame, and even contempt in our relationships.
Oh, wow.
And she illustrates this with a personal anecdote
Okay.
about almost getting into an argument with her husband
Seriously.
over something as simple as waiting in line etiquette.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
A fight about line etiquette.
It sounds silly, right?
Yeah.
But it shows how fixed mindsets can make us quick to judge others
Right.
based on these perceived flaws or shortcomings.
We stop seeing them as individuals capable of growth.
Exactly.
We just label them and put them in a box.
And that's where the trouble starts.
This is fascinating stuff.
It is.
I'm really curious to see where Dweck takes this next.
Me too. Let's keep digging in.
Let's do it. Okay. It's almost like those fixed mindset messages become like ingrained in our culture,
Yeah,
and then we end up unconsciously perpetuating them,
totally.
even if we don't realize it.
It's like a vicious cycle.
It is, but how do we break free from these patterns?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to recognize these mindsets at play,
Mm-hmm.
but how do we actually shift to a more growth-oriented perspective?
Well, that's where Dweck gets really practical.
Okay,
She talks about the power of forgiveness.
forgiveness.
Yeah, it might seem like a strange topic
I was going to say,
to bring up in this context.
yeah, how does that even fit in?
But it ties in beautifully with the idea of growth mindsets.
Okay, I'm living.
You see, Dweck argues that forgiveness can be really tough
Okay,
for people with a fixed mindset.
why is that?
Because if you're constantly trying to prove your worth
Right.
and avoid looking flawed, admitting fault can feel like a huge threat.
It's like a blow to the ego.
Exactly.
Okay.
But to illustrate this, she shares this incredible story about resolving a really strained relationship with her own mother.
Wow.
And she did this by focusing on her own half of the relationship.
So it wasn't about blaming her mother
No, not at all.
or dwelling on past hurts.
It was about taking responsibility for her own actions and choosing to move forward with understanding and compassion.
That's such a powerful example
It is.
of how a growth mindset can really transform even the most challenging relationships.
It shows that it's not about ignoring the hurt
Right.
or pretending everything's fine.
It's about choosing to approach the situation with a willingness to learn and grow,
Exactly.
even when it's hard.
Even when it's really tough.
But what about other difficult situations,
Like what?
like dealing with bullies?
Oh, yeah.
Does Dweck address that too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
She has this whole section on bullying.
Okay.
And it's not what you'd expect.
Really? How so?
Well, she frames bullying as a fixed mindset issue.
At its core,
Yeah, bullies trying to establish dominance
Okay.
by judging and putting others down.
it's all about power.
It is, they get a self-esteem boost from making others feel small.
So it reinforces this idea that they're superior.
Exactly. It's all about maintaining a hierarchy
Based on
these fixed nations of worth
It's like they're trying to validate their own fixed mindset.
by putting others down.
Yeah, but what's the alternative?
Right.
How does a growth mindset approach bullying differently?
Well, instead of getting caught up in that judgment,
Okay.
someone with a growth mindset might try to understand the bully's motivations.
So it's about empathy.
In a way, yeah, they might even see it as an opportunity to educate the bully.
To help them see beyond those limitations.
Exactly. It's not about excusing the behavior. It's about recognizing that even bullies are capable of change and growth.
Like taking the high road.
Yeah.
But not in a naive or passive way.
Right.
It's about understanding the deeper dynamics at play.
And choosing to respond in a way that promotes growth.
Instead of perpetuating the cycle of negativity.
Exactly.
That's a really powerful shift in perspective.
It is.
But, changing mindsets is easier said than done.
Oh, for sure.
It's not like we can just snap our finger.
And suddenly have a new outlook.
Right. And one of Dweck's most surprising findings
Okay.
is that praising children's intelligence can actually be harmful.
Now that's interesting.
I know it sounds counterintuitive.
It does.
But isn't it good to encourage kids
Yeah.
to tell them they're smart?
Right.
Isn't that how we build their confidence?
It seems like it, but her research shows that this kind of praise can backfire.
Really?
Yeah, it fosters a fixed mindset.
Oh, wow.
And it makes kids afraid of failure.
So they're less likely to take challenges.
Exactly. They become so fixated on maintaining that smart label
Right.
that they avoid anything that might make them look less capable.
They don't want to risk losing that label.
Exactly. And to illustrate this, she shares this anecdote about a mother
Okay.
whose son refused to do challenging work in school
Why?
because he wanted to protect his image as the smart kid.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
He's trading potential growth.
For this temporary feeling of validation.
Yeah, but what's the alternative?
Right.
How should we be encouraging kids?
Well, instead of praising their intelligence,
Okay.
Dweck suggests focusing on the process.
The process.
Yeah, on their effort and strategies.
Okay.
So instead of saying, you're so smart, yeah, you might say, wow, you really worked hard on that and look at the results.
So it's about shifting the focus from innate ability
To the process of learning.
and growth.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off of being smart
Right.
and allows them to embrace the joy of learning.
But I imagine that's a tough habit to break.
It is.
We're so conditioned to equate intelligence with worth.
It's a societal thing.
It is, but the payoff is huge.
It is.
By praising effort and process, we encourage that growth mindset.
And kids learn that their abilities aren't fixed.
Right.
They can be developed through hard work.
And dedication.
Exactly. But shifting to a growth mindset isn't just about how we praise kids.
Right.
It's about how we approach challenges in our own lives.
Okay, so where do we even begin?
Well, Dweck suggests starting by becoming aware of your fixed mindset triggers.
Triggers like what?
Well, what situations or challenges make you feel threatened or inadequate?
Oh, okay.
Once you recognize those triggers,
Yeah.
you can start to understand how your fixed mindset shows up.
So it's about developing self-awareness.
Yes, noticing those moments.
When you're slipping into that fixed mindset.
Exactly. But then what
Right.
if
How do you actually shift the perspective?
It's about consciously choosing to reframe those thoughts.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I'm not good at this,
Mm.
you might say, I'm still learning and I'm willing to put in the effort
So it's about replacing self-judgment.
with more growth-oriented affirmations.
It's like giving yourself permission to be a work in progress.
Exact.
To embrace the messy journey of learning.
Yeah, but what about those times when we really mess up?
Oh, I see what you mean.
When we experience a major setback?
Right.
Is it even possible to maintain a growth mindset then?
I mean, when we feel like we've totally bombed something,
Yeah.
and that fixed mindset voice
Yeah.
starts screaming.
Oh, yeah, telling us we're failures and we should just give up.
Right, exactly.
It's easy to get caught in that spiral of self-criticism,
Totally.
but that's where the growth mindset really comes in.
Okay. Dweck emphasizes that failure isn't the opposite of success.
Okay.
It's actually a stepping stone
A stepping stone.
to learning and growth.
So it's about reframing those setbacks as opportunities.
Yes, opportunities for reflection and improvement.
It doesn't mean we deny the negative emotions.
No, not at all.
It's about using them as fuel for growth.
Exactly.
So instead of like beating ourselves up,
Right.
we ask, okay, what can I learn from this?
Yeah, how can I do better next time? Right, and this is where Dweck brings up this interesting concept,
Okay.
the fixed mindset persona.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
What is that all about?
Well, she argues that we all have this fixed mindset persona.
Like lurking inside us.
Yeah, it's this inner voice
Uh-huh.
that pops up when we feel threatened.
Like it wants to protect our ego
Exactly. It wants to avoid looking flawed.
and constantly prove our worth.
Right.
So it's like the voice that says, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Or I'm not good enough.
Or even it's all their fault.
It's like shifting the blame.
Exactly.
But how do we deal with this persona?
Dweck suggests that we shouldn't try to suppress it.
Really?
Yeah, we should actually acknowledge it
Okay.
and even have a conversation with it.
Wait a minute. Are you saying we should talk to our fixed mindset?
It might sound strange,
It does.
but it can be really powerful.
How so?
Well, it helps us recognize that this persona is rooted in fear.
Okay.
It's just trying to protect us.
It's not trying to sabotage us.
No, not at all.
It's just trying to help in its own limited way.
Right.
So it's like saying, hey, I hear you,
I understand you're
but
scared.
we're going to do this anyway.
And we're going to learn and grow from it.
I love that.
It's about creating a dialogue.
Between our growth mindset and our fixed mindset.
Exactly.
Instead of letting them battle it out.
Right.
This is so insightful.
This growth mindset stuff is a journey.
Not a destination.
Exactly. And Dweck really emphasizes that.
So it's about consistently challenging those fixed mindset beliefs.
Yes. And embracing challenges and prioritizing growth.
Even when it's tough.
Even when it's really tough.
It's about recognizing that setbacks and failures,
They don't define us.
right, they're just opportunities for learning and growth.
Exactly.
It's about believing in our ability to evolve.
No matter what.
That's such a powerful message.
It is.
You know, one of the things I really appreciate about Dweck's work
What's that?
is that she gives us practical strategies
Yeah.
for cultivating a growth mindset.
Not just theory,
Right, it's about creating a culture of learning and development.
where we value effort and see mistakes as opportunities.
And embrace challenges as stepping stones.
I love that.
And before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to leave everyone with a thought-provoking question.
Okay, I like it.
What's one area in your life where adopting a growth mindset could make a real difference?
Good question.
What's a belief that might be holding you back?
What would happen if you challenged that belief?
The possibilities are endless.
They really are.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into mindsets,
Yeah.
remember you have the power to choose your mindset.
You can choose to stay stuck.
Or you can choose to embrace the power of growth.
Such a powerful choice.
It's a journey.
But it can lead to incredible places.
So go out there, embrace challenges, and never stop growing.
Words to live by.